Are you thinking of planning a fun summer road trip? And one of the ideas you had was to take the family to one of the 94 Parks Canada itineraries? Well, if you have an EV, you might want to do some extra homework because a new study shows that many of the Parks Canada multi-day road trips are pretty difficult to get to given Canada's current EV charging station access.
The government plans to invest 1.2 billion in charging infrastructure over the next couple of years. And some good part of that has to go into thinking about, well, how do you get Canadians to where they go for tourism, where they go for recreation? So we wanted to look at, well, how accessible are the national parks? And the day trips, about 80% of them were tourism friendly because you didn't have to make an additional stop for a charge. The multi-day trips were a bit of a different story.
25% of the multi-day trips are considered impossible according to the study because there's too big of a gap or no level 3 charging stations en route. And then there's the whole other issue of once you get to the campsite.
People who go camping with an EV don't want to leave their car in town or at a parking lot for several hours while it charges. They want to charge it on site. But only about 10% of the national park campsites have 220-volt charging in it, which would allow you to do sort of level 2. And those have typically been taken up by the RVs because they have air conditioning and big needs like that.
And while some provinces are doing better than others,
British Columbia and Quebec, in part because they've had subsidies for EVs. Saskatchewan and Newfoundland were unfortunately two of the ones that had sort of the lowest average scores.
research shows that this will be a cross-Canada issue.
3/4 of the parks that we looked at, demand would exceed supply by about 2030.
Daniel Scott says they're looking at examples like Norway, where 75% of new cars are electric, and it's also a country that really values outdoor recreation. So they're working with Parks Canada to try and come up with a long-term solution so that people who are trying to reduce their carbon emissions can enjoy the exact thing that they're trying to protect, our beautiful outdoor spaces.